In the long and profound course of Earth's history, evolution has given birth to countless stunning and even bizarre miracles of life. 100 million years ago in the late Cretaceous epoch, if you wandered through the lush dense forests of North Africa or East Asia, you might encounter an extraordinarily peculiar creature. It boasted a stout physique taller than an adult human, clad in fluffy and splendid feathers similar to those of birds. Most breathtaking of all, at the tips of its several meter-long forelimbs grew 3 massive curved claws as long as 1 meter, shaped just like Grim Reaper's scythes. Misguided by films and innate fears, people have long insisted that these claws were made to pierce enemies' chests and tear warm flesh apart. Tonight, beside the gently flickering fire, let us step into its real life with this soothing tale easy to remember. Let us get to know this unique ancient creature misunderstood by countless people amid the sands of time, Therizinosaurus. Its life represents the most thorough, striking and gentle rebellion within the entire theropod dinosaur family. Endowed with the most formidable lethal weapons on this planet, it chose to retreat into thick woods and live a quiet and peaceful life. Let the tranquility of night envelop you gently, and drift into the ancient dreams forgotten by time along with the soft narration. The story dates back to the late 1940s in the vast Gobi Desert. Soviet paleontological expeditions unearthed several astonishingly huge curved fossil bones in the dry strata of southern Mongolia. These bones featured sharp cold lines and perfect curved shapes just like life-harvesting scythes. Isolated and weird as these fossils were, paleontologists back then failed to classify them as any known terrestrial creature. The famous Soviet scholar Yefremov put forward a seemingly absurd yet reasonable inference at that time. He believed these giant hard claws belonged to a huge prehistoric sea turtle living on the seabed, which used them to strip off seaweeds. Hence in early scientific records, Therizinosaurus was labeled as a giant armored sea turtle and lay silently in dark storage rooms for decades. It was not until years later when more complete skeletal remains were discovered in laterite that humans woke up to their ignorance. These were never traces of sea turtles, but forelimbs of giant bipedal dinosaurs standing nearly 6 meters tall and weighing over 5 tons. Its discovery completely broke the established taxonomic rules and plunged the paleontological circle into half a century of cognitive turmoil. This oddly shaped giant creature silently mocked humans' rigid imagination of the prehistoric world with Cretaceous sediments clinging to its body. To understand the huge contrast embodied by Therizinosaurus, we need to look into the ferocious genes flowing in its blood. Taxonomically speaking, it is an authentic theropod dinosaur. This family has bred infamous Tyrannosaurus rex, brutal Tarbosaurus and swift and ferocious Velociraptor. For generations, theropod ancestors regarded tearing flesh and devouring bones as their ultimate instinct, with killing impulses engraved deep in their bones. Nevertheless, at a certain stage of Cretaceous evolution, ancestors of Therizinosaurus made an unexpected rebellious decision. Tired of endless chasing, fighting and fighting over carrion in pools of blood, they turned their eyes to the verdant treetop swaying in the wind. To achieve this against the tradition change, they paid a long and tremendous evolutionary price. Their teeth gradually degenerated, losing serrated edges and evolving into spoon-shaped structures perfect for grinding plant fibers. Their pelvis tilted backward to make room for the enlarged stomach and lengthy intestines that digested tough ancient leaves. They even became slow and clumsy, losing the ability to run fast. Abandoning the bloody throne, they evolved into bulky herbivores and sought a peaceful way of survival on this land ruled by fierce predators. Now that it had fully turned herbivorous, why did it still retain those terrifying claws capable of intimidating any predators? This is the most wonderful and tender arrangement of nature. 100 million years ago, tender and nutrient-rich leaves grew on top of towering ancient trees across the fertile humid plains. Yet bulky Therizinosaurus had neither extremely long necks like giraffes nor massive bodies to break tree trunks like sauropods. Thus those 1-meter-long scythe-like claws became perfect daily tools. On quiet afternoons, it would slowly walk towards tall ginkgo trees and ferns, stretch out its huge forelimbs, hook high branches gracefully and pull them down gently just like sloths to reach the fresh leaves. Those claws that could easily tear prey apart were used to pick green buds carefully without spilling a drop of blood. In peaceful days, these claws became bridges connecting creatures and natural gifts. It gave up hunting and chasing, gaining inner peace accompanied by dense forests while pulling branches leisurely. Kindness does not guarantee absolute safety. Even if you choose to retreat, threats from fierce predators will still come unexpectedly. On the edge of laterite plains lived Tarbosaurus, the most terrifying overlord across East Asia, which was over 10 meters long. Fossils of these ferocious creatures are covered with fighting and biting marks, for they showed no mercy to any herbivores. One dusky evening before rain, the air turned heavy and all forest birds fell silent. An elderly Therizinosaurus strayed away from its group and stood alone in the open shrubland. Suddenly heavy footsteps echoed nearby, trees were pushed aside, and a scarred giant Tarbosaurus poked its head out with strong bloody breath. Driven by hunger, its eyes glinted coldly as it charged forward powerfully. Faced with such danger, most herbivores would flee in panic or await fate. Yet the clumsy Therizinosaurus could not run fast with its degenerated legs. It just turned its huge body steadily, lowered its center of gravity, and slowly raised its pair of steel-like giant claws amid rustling feathers. The setting sun pierced through dark clouds and shone on those cold bony claws, forming an impassable defense line in front of Tarbosaurus. It was the most stunning confrontation in prehistoric times, where supreme biting force faced sharpest claws silently on red soil, freezing the whole atmosphere. As a top predator, Tarbosaurus was far from reckless and could accurately calculate possible injuries. Staring closely at those waving giant claws, it knew clearly that those sharp bony blades would leave fatal penetrating wounds on its eyes or throat once it drew near. Even if its teeth could crush its opponent's bones, it would probably be disemboweled before landing a fatal strike. In the wild, severe injuries often lead to infection and slow death. The two giants stood deadlocked in dusk for 10 minutes, with only heavy breaths echoing in the woods. Eventually the ferocity in Tarbosaurus' eyes faded away under the threat of sharp claws. It let out an unwilling low roar and retreated back into the dark jungle. Instead of chasing after it, Therizinosaurus gently lowered its claws and continued chewing fallen ginkgo leaves as if nothing had happened. Its whole life has proven a poetic truth: I possess the sharpest weapons in the world, not to conquer or destroy anyone, but merely to enjoy my meals peacefully without disturbance in this cruel world. 100 million years later, standing quietly in dim exhibition halls and looking up at the restored huge forelimbs of Therizinosaurus, people's initial fear will eventually turn into gentle affection. Once mistaken for giant sea turtles and evil monsters, this creature has revealed profound evolutionary truths to humans through half a century of misunderstandings. Sharing the same fierce bloodline as overlord predators, it has lived a soft and peaceful life in an era dominated by violence and strength. Its life is an ancient epic about abandoning cruelty and pursuing tranquility. In this restless, noisy world that worships absolute power, Therizinosaurus is just like a wise ancient sage whispering to us through time. It tells us that true strength never lies in how many things you can destroy, but in being capable of destruction yet still choosing kindness and peace. Today the sun still blazes over the Mongolian Gobi, and Cretaceous forests have long turned into silent rocky lands amid endless winds and sands. Yet every night when stars shine on ancient land wrinkles, we seem to hear giant scythes sweeping through wind and rustling leaves. This lonely and gentle forest guardian has finally cast off evolutionary burdens and gained eternal peace deep in Earth strata. That's all for tonight's story. The firewood in the fireplace has burned out, and quiet night embraces the whole world. May this story full of contrasts and ancient tenderness sweep away all your restlessness and anxiety. Relax your tired body and mind, close your eyes and fall asleep peacefully amid the tranquil prehistoric woods. Good night.